Oh, hello, you silly sleepyhead. Are you ready for a magical journey into Sleepy Land? I'm not. You think sleep would be natural for little ones, but often it isn't. Getting my kids to sleep has been the number one most difficult issue for me as a husband and as a parent. This is probably more common than you think. Sleep-related issues rank number one as the most common issue in parenting. This is because there are no such things as good or bad parents. Rather, there are educated parents, uneducated parents, and people who try and people who don't. However, there is a bright side. While our parents lacked modern internet and access to effective research and information, we are loaded with millions, perhaps billions of stories all around you that we can learn from, including mine. My story is unique in that my wife is Korean and I'm American. It's also unique because I see sleep as the elixir of life, while my wife sees it as a waste of time. My wife and I have fought, and fought again. But I am entering a new experience of peacefulness that I wish I could have had years ago. And I'm sharing this in hopes that you have a chance to achieve this peace. If I can save at least one person from sleeplessness, then this makes it worth my time. You should follow things like your doubts and intuitions, because if something feels off, it probably is. With this being said, remember that your friends and family have probably developed their beliefs from the desire to love and comfort your little ones, just like you want to. And like most things coming from a good place, please remember that it's coming from a good place and you need to respect. In my case, with my wife's family, sleep on the floor, sleep together, and keep play until you can't play no more. Whereas I grew up thinking crib and habits are the most important thing. After my baby was born, I had no intention of sleeping on the floor with my family, but my wife did. And the reason I didn't want to sleep together was because I was afraid of rolling onto that poor little guy. I wasn't the one breastfeeding, and I faced my fears. We all slept together on the same mattress on the floor. I started to worry that our kids were not getting adequate sleep, they were spending too long falling asleep, and that just made things worse. I was very irritable, and thanks to my irritability, do you think my wife responded well? If you answered no, you are correct. Suffering in the present in hopes for a better future. But why were we suffering so much? Disagreement? Sleep deprivation? Yes. If you're not aware, around every hour after they are past the stage of nightly feedings, they're still waking up hourly. And if you're sleeping together, you know that. We did something called todak, which means like a pat in Korean. We slept together from when our kids were newborns, and for the first year, there was hardly a night that I wasn't waking up every hour to pat my son back to sleep. A funny thing happened when my son turned 1. He found a self-soothing method, but it didn't make things easier. The negative feedback frenzy turned into a new sleeping aid that was far worse. It wasn't a teddy bear. It wasn't a toy car. My son entered a phase called nipple rubbing. We would still pat him to sleep, but more and more he began falling asleep. I became more and more agitated as my nipples grew more and more sensitive. The best solution I recommend for nipple rubbing is putting on very thick clothes. I would put on a very thick sweater every night, and I could hardly even feel those little busy fingers. I was so proud of myself. However, like most sleeping aids, it wasn't very conducive to sleeping, and it didn't improve anyone's sleep. Every time my son would wake up, I'd grab his hand, put it right here, and he'd fall right back to sleep. But I still had a great deal of wake-ups throughout the night, causing me not to be the happiest of daddies. A step up from thick clothes would be to find a self-soothing method that doesn't involve you. Here are some examples of self-soothing methods. White noise, routines, comfort stuffed animals or a blanket, thumb sucking, swaddling, pacifier. However, encouraging these things don't always work. For example, in our case, our little one used to cry for us to give him his pacifier throughout the night. Therefore, while helpful and effective to get him to sleep, it wasn't particularly effective as a long-term solution. We also tried making a solid bedtime routine. However, ours looked like this. The point of the routine is to be quick, 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 and calm your kids down for sleeping. We played very rowdy and was very counterproductive. Our old routine looked like this. Drink water, read a book, sing a song, brush your teeth, play in the bed for an hour. However, the whole time the kids were wondering when the actual time that we would sleep was, and because they knew that sleep time was coming, they stretched it as much as they could, taking their sweet time with every single thing. Saying goodbye to sleep is similar to saying goodbye at preschool. When you send your kids to preschool, it can be scary. When you send your kids to sleep, it can be scary. But saying goodbye directly and quickly is the best thing you can do for your child. It may be counterintuitive, but instead of giving them hope and confusion, quick and simple works best. Remember, here's our routine now. Blanket, kiss, hug, fist bump. Love you, good night. Simple, to the point, and understandable. With our beginner methods, we were running on frequent wake-ups, maybe 9 hours of sleep total per day. Not ideal. Newsflash, your toddler under 3 should probably be getting 11 to 14 hours. It was easy for me to see when my son would rub his eyes that he was very tired. But despite that, 2 things kept him up. One was mommy's amazing playfulness, especially late at night, and the other was my poor attitude in trying to make things happen. See, to comfortably fall asleep, the energy in the room has to be calm and collected, and that was not me. I was always telling my wife, "Can you stop playing?" He saw that we weren't on the same page. That means he could get what he wanted. To play, 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 let's not sleep, no, no, no. But this is something we should have discussed outside of the bedroom, and it probably would have been much better in a time that I was emotionally available. My son seeing us disagree just fueled his fire more. When he saw that we weren't on the same page, that means he could get what he wanted. Kids to bed was sometimes silly and fun, and we enjoyed it, including myself. But due to the extreme tiredness of our son, it was often not quality time, and my son formed a habit of whining a lot before sleeping. He never wanted to sleep. We usually just played, and then eventually he would collapse. And while it sounds good on paper, giving your kids that much slap-happy fun makes chores impossible. I felt alone, misunderstood, out of control. When you're a parent, you're always thinking, what can I do to make my kids feel better? What can I do to make my kids turn out well? You control things, sometimes you over-control things, and it's very stressful. You want answers? Well, I got answers. Don't control things. Get emotionally intelligent, switch things up, controlling your emotions, and not controlling your kids' emotions, but controlling their behavior is the best way to control things. After we got a little bit smarter and we started sleeping separately, we didn't get so many frequent wake-ups, and that felt very nice. But when we slept apart, I learned that my wife felt very uncomfortable and that she really wanted to be next to my son to comfort him. If we never tried sleeping apart, I think I never would have fully understood my wife and her passion for sleeping together. Change is very difficult, and I'm very grateful for my wife for trying something different. If something seems off and you're not sure, it's usually best to make a little change and see if you gain some understanding of each other through this change. After several attempts of going back and forth of sleeping separately together, there is a lot of mutual understanding on our feelings, on our concept of life, and our behaviors, and how they affect our children. We are setting more regular patterns of bedtimes. Our kids mostly sleep through the night, and overall, I'm very satisfied with how I ended up getting my way. Either way, I can live with my wife's way, and I don't have to think that it's the wrong way. And also, I can live with my way, which I prefer. But either way, the kids are growing up wonderfully, and I'm just happy to share this journey with someone special. I hope this helped. Hit subscribe. Bye.